Across the vast expanse of the American landscape, beneath the rolling hills and dense forests, lies a silent testament to civilizations long past. A forgotten story is etched into the very land itself, a narrative whispered by the earth, waiting to be rediscovered. These aren't just random mounds of dirt, they are deliberate constructions, imbued with meaning and purpose. A story of great cities and monumental works, feats of engineering and social organization that challenge our conventional understanding of pre-Columbian America, structures rivaling those of ancient Egypt in scale and complexity, built by people whose names and stories have largely faded from our history books. Imagine standing at the base of a massive earthen pyramid, feeling the weight of history pressing down upon you. Its flat top reaching skyward, a platform for ceremonies, rituals, and perhaps even astronomical observations. What secrets did these elevated spaces hold, built by hands that vanished centuries ago, leaving behind only these silent sentinels as a testament to their existence? Who were these people, and what drove them to create such enduring monuments? These are not the primitive remnants of scattered tribes as some might assume, but echoes of sophisticated civilizations that rose to prominence, flourished with intricate social structures and advanced knowledge, and then mysteriously disappeared, leaving archaeologists and historians to piece together their story. Long before Europeans arrived on these shores, these societies thrived, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape. Consider Cahokia, located near modern-day St. Louis, a sprawling metropolis in its time. Once larger than London, a bustling hub of trade, culture, and religious activity. Centered around a colossal mound, Monks Mound, a testament to the power and ambition of its builders. Further south in Louisiana, Poverty Point's concentric rings, a marvel of ancient engineering, predate many Old World wonders, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of geometry and spatial planning. And in Ohio, the Newark earthworks, a complex of geometric shapes, display geometric precision that stuns modern surveyors, revealing an advanced understanding of mathematics and astronomy. These sites were more than just settlements, they were ceremonial centers, places of gathering and spiritual significance. Astronomical observatories, carefully aligned with celestial events, demonstrating a deep connection to the cosmos, and declarations of power and belief, symbols of a society's values and aspirations. They speak of a people with a deep connection to the cosmos, observing the movements of the stars and planets with meticulous care, and a sophisticated understanding of their world, using their knowledge to create structures that reflected their beliefs and values. What if the key to unlocking this mystery, to truly understanding these forgotten civilizations, isn't just in the soil of the New World, in the artifacts and archaeological evidence we unearth, but also in the pages of the Bible? Could ancient texts hold clues to the origins and fate of these enigmatic cultures? The standard narrative of American history is one of slow migration and gradual progress, but it leaves profound questions unanswered. Why do bursts of innovation appear suddenly? And why do so many ancient sites echo with loss and collapse? What if the Americas are a direct chapter in the larger story of humanity recorded in the Bible? Genesis tells of a global flood and the scattering at Babel, a forced dispersal that fractured humanity into language groups. This suggests the first Americans were not primitive wanderers, but descendants of a sophisticated pre-dispersal civilization. Their knowledge and memories would have shaped the advanced societies we find evidence of today. Could the master builders of Cahokia and the architects of the Newark earthworks be distant echoes of Babel's legacy? This is an invitation to consider a different historical model, one that aligns physical evidence with the account preserved in Scripture. Across North America, thousands of man-made mounds and earthworks rise as silent testaments to a forgotten age. These are not random hills, but engineered remnants of the mound-builder cultures. Cahokia's Monks Mound covers over 14 acres, built by hand with millions of cubic feet of soil. Surrounding it were smaller mounds, a grand plaza, and a massive wooden wall. Woodhenge, a circle of posts, functioned as a solar calendar, evidence of advanced astronomy. In Ohio, the Hopewell and Adena cultures created earthworks of stunning geometric purity, aligned with lunar cycles. These sites were sacred spaces harmonizing community life with the cosmos. The mounds, often used for elite burials or temples, elevated leaders and rituals closer to the sky. Such ambition suggests a people driven by a powerful worldview and a desire to connect with the divine. Where did this worldview originate? To truly understand the ambition that fueled the mound builders, to grasp the significance of their monumental creations, we must embark on a journey of our own. We need to trace the threads of history back to their very source, to the wellspring of their cultural and spiritual aspirations. We travel back to the plains of Shinar, a land steeped in ancient lore, a place vividly described in the book of Genesis. This is where our story truly begins, in the cradle of civilization itself. There, according to the ancient texts, humanity, united in purpose and language, embarked on an audacious endeavor, to build a tower that would pierce the heavens, a structure so grand it would defy earthly limitations. It was an act of immense pride, a testament to human ingenuity, but also an act of defiance against the divine order, a bold statement of self-reliance and ambition. They sought to elevate themselves, to reach beyond their mortal bounds. But God, witnessing this audacious undertaking, intervened. His response was swift and decisive, to confound their language, creating a cacophony of voices where once there was unity. The consequence was the scattering of humanity, a forced migration across the face of the earth, each group carrying fragments of the original culture and knowledge. Imagine the chaos, the sheer pandemonium that must have ensued. Communication shattered into a million pieces, the ability to understand one another vanished in an instant, replaced by confusion and frustration. Families, once bound by shared language and purpose, were now drifting apart, forced to make heartbreaking goodbyes as they embarked on uncertain journeys. And the great project, the towering symbol of human ambition, was abandoned, left unfinished as a testament to the limits of human endeavor. This pivotal event, the scattering from Shinar, provides a compelling explanation for the origins of the world's diverse peoples and cultures, a tapestry woven from shared ancestry and divergent paths. And among those scattered peoples were the ancestors of those who would eventually make their way to the Americas, crossing vast distances and adapting to new environments. These were not simply primitive wanderers, aimlessly searching for sustenance. They were far more sophisticated than that. They were members of a complex society, possessing a deep understanding of agriculture, capable of cultivating the land and producing sustenance. They also possessed advanced knowledge of construction techniques, allowing them to build impressive structures, and a keen understanding of astronomy, enabling them to chart the heavens. Though scattered and dispersed, they carried this invaluable knowledge with them, a cultural inheritance that would shape their future. And as they journeyed, they sought to recreate what they had lost, to rebuild the sense of community and connection that had been shattered. They yearned for a central place of worship, a focal point for their spiritual lives, a tangible connection to the heavens that they had once attempted to build. And so, the mounds and earthworks of the Americas, these monumental constructions, begin to take on a new light. They can be interpreted as New World expressions of a deeply ingrained Old World impulse, a continuation of a cultural narrative that stretches back to the plains of Shinar. They are not isolated anomalies, strange and inexplicable features on the landscape. Instead, they are precisely what we might expect to find from the descendants of those who once dared to build a tower to the heavens at Babel. The people who made the arduous journey to the New World, crossing land bridges and navigating uncharted territories, were carrying with them the cultural embers of a once unified world, the flickering flames of shared traditions and aspirations. The mounds, in their own way, are echoes of that primal drive to reach for the heavens, to connect with something beyond the earthly realm. They stand as silent testaments to the enduring human spirit, a reflection of the same ambition that drove their ancestors to build the Tower of Babel, reaching for the sky. If the first Americans were scattered from Babel, how did they get here? The conventional land bridge model suggests a slow migration, but a Genesis-based history points to a recent, rapid dispersal. Genetic research, especially Y chromosome studies, shows all people descend from Noah's sons, matching the biblical timeline. Native American DNA connects back to Old World groups, tracing a migration path consistent with post-Babel scattering. The journey was epic, across Asia, adapting to new climates and eventually crossing into the Americas. Whether by land bridge or boat, the migration fits a compressed biblical time frame. Once in the Americas, people expanded rapidly, establishing settlements from north to south. This rapid migration explains why complex civilizations appear early in South America as well as North America. The people were not aimless wanderers, but purposeful settlers, driven by memory and mission. One major area of conflict, a point of contention that has persisted for centuries, lies between the interpretations presented in the Bible and the findings of mainstream science. This isn't about dismissing either perspective outright, but rather understanding where the apparent discrepancies arise. At the heart of this conflict is the issue of time. How old is the Earth? When did humanity first emerge? These are fundamental questions with differing answers depending on the framework you use. Secular archaeology, employing various dating methods, dates human arrival in the Americas to a period stretching back over 15,000 years ago, a timeline supported by numerous excavations and analyses of ancient settlements. However, the Bible, through its genealogies and historical accounts, places the flood and the subsequent events at Babel just a few thousand years back. This creates a significant difference in the perceived timeline of early human history. Radiocarbon dating, a cornerstone of archaeological dating, relies on certain assumptions about the past, including the assumption of stable atmospheric carbon ratios over vast stretches of time. But what if those ratios weren't always stable? A global flood as described in the Bible would have undoubtedly altered Earth's carbon balance dramatically, skewing radiocarbon results and potentially leading to inaccurate age estimations. This could result in artifacts appearing significantly older than their actual age within a biblical time frame. Adjusting for this potential carbon imbalance, the timeline of ancient dates begins to compress, fitting more comfortably into a post-flood time frame. This allows for a potential alignment of archaeological findings with the biblical chronology, offering a new perspective on ancient history. The rise of complex cultures like Poverty Point and the Cahokia Mounds in North America fits comfortably within the centuries immediately following the dispersion from Babel, providing a plausible historical context. This approach doesn't seek to discard the scientific method or the valuable insights gained through archaeological research, but rather refines it by incorporating a more biblically consistent historical framework, leading to potentially more accurate interpretations. The Bible provides a foundational framework: the reality of a global flood, the concept of a single origin for humanity, and the historical event of a dispersion at Babel, that ultimately helps to interpret scientific data and understand the complexities of the ancient world. Through this lens, this new perspective, the ancient past comes into sharper focus, revealing details and connections that might otherwise be missed. This integrated approach reveals a history that is both scientifically plausible, acknowledging the data and methodologies of modern science, and biblically faithful, honoring the historical accounts presented in Scripture. The Bible is a story of families, relationships, and conflict, a theme echoed in the Americas. Archaeology reveals fortified centers like Cahokia, built for defense in a world of warfare and rivalry. As societies grew, competition for land and resources intensified, leading to conflict and decline. From a biblical perspective, these were not just territorial struggles but clashes of worldviews and lineages descended from Noah. Y-chromosome genetics suggests certain paternal lines dominated regions, fueling centuries of rivalry. The Americas were a mosaic of distinct peoples, not a single culture, much like the Old World. Ancient America's story is one of brother lineages scattered from Babel, meeting again in a new land. Sometimes they traded and coexisted, other times differences led to conflict and warfare. This framework helps us understand the complex tapestry of ancient American cultures. The archaeological evidence of conflict fits the biblical pattern of human history. Faith and science are not enemies. Together they offer a more complete picture of our origins. The Bible provides the who, when, and why. Science reveals the what and how. Genetics traces humanity back to a single male ancestor and 3 founding lineages, echoing the story of Noah. Archaeology shows advanced civilizations appearing suddenly in the Americas, just as a post-Babel migration would predict. Shared symbols, pyramids, flood myths, serpent imagery. Makes sense if all cultures originated from a common source. The evidence doesn't contradict the Bible, it confirms its outlines. This synthesis isn't about ignoring evidence, but interpreting it within a coherent framework. It transforms archaeology into a thrilling investigation of God's interaction with humanity. The God of the Bible is not distant, but the God of history, guiding every nation, including the forgotten civilizations of the Americas. By uniting faith and science, we unlock a richer, more meaningful understanding of the past. The history we learn in school is often presented as settled fact, but it's really an interpretation shaped by assumptions. The dominant narrative excludes God and the Bible, favoring slow, naturalistic processes. It's time to question that narrative and encourage critical thinking. When we see earthworks like the Serpent Mound, we should ask, do these symbols connect to ancient memories shared across cultures? Such questions are not unscientific. They drive discovery. The biblical framework answers questions the secular model struggles with: language origins, sudden technology, global flood myths. Bringing the Bible back as a historical source opens new avenues for research. Be a truth seeker, read Genesis, visit sites, and examine evidence with fresh eyes. Ask if the biblical narrative better fits what we see. The history of the Americas is an ongoing investigation, one you can join by seeking a story that honors both evidence and scripture. We've journeyed from America's mounds, a land rich with untold stories, to the plains of Shinar and back, traversing continents and cultures, seeing how forgotten civilizations find their voice, echoing through the ages. Through the Bible's framework, a lens offering unique insights. Ancient America is part of the universal human story. Creation, the dawn of humankind; fall, a deviation from the original design; flood, a cataclysmic event reshaping the world and scattering the dispersion of people across the earth. This perspective re-enchants the past, breathing new life into ancient narratives, revealing God's hand in all people's histories. Genetic, archaeological, and linguistic evidence, when interpreted without bias, with an open mind and a critical eye, aligns with Genesis. The Bible offers a rational foundation, a solid bedrock, for faith and understanding. If it's true about nations' history, about the collective past, it's true about our own. The God who scattered nations at Babel, a pivotal moment in history, offers reconciliation through Christ, a path to healing and restoration, uniting all people in worship. Continue this journey, explore, dig into science, and read scripture. The past is alive with clues, whispering secrets of bygone eras to God's faithfulness. By building on the Bible's foundation, a firm and unwavering base, we solve history's riddles and find hope for the future. The past isn't lost, it's waiting to be rediscovered through the lens of truth. From ancient mounds to biblical migrations, history affirms what Scripture has declared all along: God's hand is at work across time and nations. If this journey stirred your curiosity or strengthened your faith, don't keep it to yourself. Like, subscribe, and share. And if you're hungry for more, dive into Nathaniel Jeanson's They Had Names for deeper insights into America's biblical history. This is Tech and Trek, where ancient mysteries meet eternal truths. Until next time, keep exploring and keep believing.